بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل
ثم السلام على آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم الأجمعين إلى يوم الدين صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا صدق الله العظيم صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our focus for the last 7-8 days has been Surah Al-Furqan. And yesterday we sort of completed it. If you remember, Surah Al-Furqan, Surah number 25, 77 ayat, it's a Makki surah. We divided it into 5 bits. You're supposed to be with me here, okay? The first bit we looked, it started off with the praise of Allah. Tabarak or Mubarak, you remember I said Barakah was something that was way beyond expectations, increase. Anyway, it starts off with a praise of Allah, but the first section looks at the objections that the Quraysh had against revelation and the Prophet. And if you remember their objections, very briefly they said, this is a lie, this is ancient stories, this is somebody who is so ordinary, he eats and he goes shopping, he doesn't have treasures, there's no angel with him, there are no gardens with him. And finally, to add insult to injury, they said he has got psychological issues because he didn't do what they did and he was trying to change their ways. Secondly, in the second section, we saw the day of Qiyamah. And we saw how these same people would bite their hands or bite their nails, bite their hands and regret not following it. And we find the Prophet complaining when he says, my Rabb, my people, inna qawmi ittakhadha hadha al-Qur'ana mahjura. My people took this book and they emigrated away from this book. Third section, we looked at past prophets. Unique surah, very short and sharp. It says, these are the past prophets sent to these people, didn't listen, they were destroyed. Literally like that. The fourth section looks at reflections on nature, and we looked at some of those. And yesterday we finished the fifth section, which is what we focused on, which is in essence the qualities of those who are attached to Allah. And I said, if you could manage, look at ayah 63 to 77, go through a tick box. Literally list those things and then see, do I tick this or do I not? Now the last ayah, I glossed over yesterday, but I'm going to look at it today. This is the last one, where Allah says, قُلْ مَا يَعْبَوْ بِكُمْ رَبِّي. So now it's going back to the Quraysh. It's saying, your Rabb does not care about you. Because they thought in their heads that Allah has given us so much, this power. Makkah is the center of the Middle East. We have got so much, it means Allah loves us. Very often we think, when things are going really right, everything's hunky-dory, we think Allah loves us very much, and they did. And Allah is telling them, لَوْلَا دُعَاءُكُمْ, doesn't matter how much you call me. You have not understood what life is about, what dua is about. And He says, فَقَدْ كَذَّبْتُمْ, you've actually belied the messenger. You have told him that he's a liar And then he says, فَسَوْفَ يَكُونُ لِزَامًا. Soon, this will stick on you. You will be known as those who belied the messenger. But today, I'd like to look at the subject of dua. What is dua? What are we talking about? Here, because he's, mentions dua in a negative sense. Here, now we're going to look at it in a positive sense. So, Allah in the Quran says, Ad'uni astajib lakum. Call me, I will answer you. You all know this. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِ عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my abd asks you about me, O Muhammad, tell him I am so near. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I answer the call of the one who calls me. It doesn't say ask. It says call. Be very careful how we look at this. If we're talking about asking, there are other ayat in the Quran. For example, Surah number 14, ayah 34. Ibrahim 34. وَآتَاكُمْ مَا كُلِّ سَأَلْتُمُوهُ. We give you whatever you ask for. This is talking about call. Dua is calling. When I call someone, when I want to speak to someone, it is because I am attracted towards them. I wish to talk to them because either they bring out the best in me, or I want to adapt some of their qualities. And the more I talk to someone, the more intimate I become with them. The more you sit near someone and chat to them, somehow you now start relating to them, and you either like them or you don't like them. Calling Allah is the first step of my purpose of life. My purpose of life is to reach my full potential, my personal best, so that when the angel of death comes and says, time up, I can say, I did my best. That's basically what life is about. But I don't know what my best is. That's why 10 times a day I say, Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Show me my personal best. And he says, Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Follow those whom I have blessed. Ghayril maghdub. Not on those on whom there is anger. Walad dhalin. Not those who are misguided. Okay, so now I know that. So he's telling me the first step to this dua is keep on calling me. Just keep on calling me so you can become intimate with me. So you can become close with me. Tell me everything. Tell me how you feel. Tell me who you are. The Prophet says dua is the essence of worship. It means talking to him. So now I tell him, then what do I do? I'm talking to you, but I need a human example. So he gives me the Prophet when he says to me that لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, in the messenger of Allah, you have the most perfect example. And all those who are associated with the messenger, what do you say? أَوَّلُونَ Muhammad, وَآخَرُونَ Muhammad, وَأَوْسَطُونَ Muhammad, وَكُلُّنَا Muhammad. So look, Allahumma salli ala. He says, look at them, look at their examples. So let's look at Dua al-Kumail. You read Dua al-Kumail, right? On Thursday. Let's see what Imam Ali teaches me. He says to Allah, اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا دعاء. Forgive me. Forgive the person who has got nothing but being able to connect to you. What else does he tell Allah? He says, you know, Ya Allah, if you put me in this fire, I will understand. But I will scream out, I am paraphrasing, I will call out that I still love you. I can bear the fire, but I can't bear separation from you. Isn't that what Imam Ali teaches me? So there's a separation from Allah. That is what I need. Now, how do I further this more? So I can call him, but I need a practicality. I need to do something practical. So I look at the lives of all these people and I see what they did. Now, I'm not going to go on because we don't have too much time, but I'm going to focus on the personality of Abbas. Because he's a massive personality, phenomenal personality. Why? Why do we come here and then that alam just puts us in awe? So first, a little bit about the alam, because it's really important to understand what it's all about, okay? So you have an alam there. In fact, you've got quite a few alams here. How did it start? Well, azadari is done in different ways, right? So there was a Mongol person called Taimur Lang. He was a Mongol king. Do you know how the Mongols became Muslims? Khwaja Nasiruddin Tusi, a very, very famous alim of ours, he looked at these Mongols and he said, my God, they're so passionate. But they liked everything big, and everything had to be big. So when Khwaja takes the Quran to them, he gets it written on really large sheets of animal skin, on deer skin. So it took 20 camels to carry the whole Quran. And Taimur Lang said, oh my goodness, your God must be great because his book is great. That was their mentality. So Taimur Lang, the way he commemorated this, was he decided to do what you and I call an alam. The alam in the time of Imam Hussein al-Islam was a pole with a sheet of material which said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliullah. So Taimur Lang took this stick, and he took a palm stick, from a palm tree, because he remembered that the stretcher on which the body of Abu Abdullah was carried was made out of palm trees. Okay? So he used that, and he put a tear on top. You know what a tear looks like? Just like, we'll come to the laddus in a minute, and the tears. Anyway, so that was the tear. And he used that as a standard to remember Abu Abdullah. When this went to the Indian subcontinent, where many of us have originated from, they said the most important part of our religion is the Panjatan, the Ahlul Qissa. Before our children can speak, we teach them, Ya Muhammad, Ya Ali, Ya Fatima, Ya Hassan, Ya Hussein. So instead, So they put a panja on top. And on the panja, they put different variations of things. Then they thought, this looks really bare. It's only a stick. Now, this is the Indian subcontinent, okay? So they put some clothes on it. It was never a shirt and pants. Have you ever seen an alam with shirt and pants? No. It was always women's clothes. The theory or the philosophy behind it was that it was the men who gave the sacrifice and the women who propagated the majlis or the message through majlis. Who propagated it? Zainab, Ummulbanin. That's whose sufra you have here today. So these are the women who propagated it. Now, today when I walked in, somebody gave me a green thread. Did they give it to you? Are you wearing a green thread? There's nothing wrong. Why? Why are you wearing a green thread? These were pinned onto the alam because people started tearing bits of the alam. So instead of them tearing it, we pinned it on so we could have one. Every time you look at this, you want to be like Zainab. You want to propagate the message of Abbas. When you look at the alam, you think, I want to be like Abbas. So who is Abbas? Who was he? The name Abbas is synonymous with loyalty. You don't say Abbas was loyal. You say loyalty is Abbas. He is the benchmark with whom you compare loyalty. If you're loyal anywhere, you say, how was he loyal? And you compare yourself to him. When we do dua, we know that the first cause is Allah. But when we ask Allah, we ask with the wasila of the ma'sumin, or with the wasila of Ummulbanin, or with the wasila of Abbas. But we must understand why and who we are asking on behalf of. And because you've got Ummulbanin in your mind, I'm going to talk a little bit about her and a little bit about her son. I'm going to miss out all the other things I wanted to say to you. So there's Imam Ali alayhi salam. And I won't go into the whole history of after Sayyida died, what happened. I will just go into the bit where he decides he wants to marry someone in whose family, in the genealogy, there is valor, there is strength, there is bravery, and there is God consciousness. That's what he wants. So he goes to Aqil. Now in every mosque there were musallas. Musallas means there were departments. And there was a department of law, there was a department, there's everything. That is what a mosque is supposed to be. It is to contain all the needs of the human being. That's what the Mosque of Medina was like. You wanted a pharmacy, you wanted a doctor, you wanted advice, you went to the mosque. And that eventually is, inshallah, where we are all going towards. So he goes to Aqil, who is his brother, who is a genealogist. And he says, find me a wife. Find me a wife in whose genes, and there's a lot to understand here. Because sometimes when we think about getting married or finding daughter-in-laws or son-in-laws, we don't think about that anymore. Yet genealogy is really important. So he wants valor and God consciousness. Aqil says, come after a month. And then he says, there is a daughter, there is a girl whose name is Fatima. She's from the family of Kilabiyya. Tell you somebody else from the family of Kilabiyya, Shimr. Shimr ibn Joshan was from the family of Kilabiyya. He was that too. Even Yazid's wife. Okay, but anyway, let's not go there right now. So here we are with looking for a wife. And Imam marries her. When she comes to Imam's house, a little while later, she says, please change my name. This is Ummulbanin. Please change my name. And he says, why? And she says, because every time you call me Fatima, you cry. You have tears in your eyes. And I am the slave of Fatima. So he calls her Ummulbanin, which means mother of sons. Okay, that's another thing that you and I have to do. When you aspire for a dua, believe that you are there. The Prophet said, when you want something, know that the answer is at the door. But aspire for higher things. Aspire, the other things will come. Aspire for reaching your full potential. Anyway, they have 4 sons. Abbas was 33 in Karbala. Okay, 4 sons. Abbas, 33 in Karbala. Then Abdullah, 10 years later, he was 23 in Karbala. All these gave their life, by the way. Uthman was 21, and Ja'far was 19. There were 2 daughters, Hani and Jumana. And it's really important we understand who Ummulbanin was. Let me take you to 21st of Ramadan. 21st of Ramadan, Imam Ali is lying on his bed. He's been struck on the head. He has all his children around him. He calls all his children, and one by one, he gives all their hands into the hands of Imam Hassan. This is your Imam. Even the hand of Imam Hussein, he gives to Imam Hassan. In a corner of the room, there is a woman who is weeping. She's crying. And he says, Ummulbanin, why are you crying? I am still here. And she says, you have forgotten my Abbas. He says, I haven't. He calls Abbas, kisses Abbas's hands, and gives those hands to Imam Hussein. Historically, we can see where this is coming down to. And he says, one day, these hands will assist you. This is Abbas. Look at the level of loyalty. I look at some of the things that when people have tried to describe Abbas, they can't. They just can't. It's so difficult. I mean, what do you call this man? They call him Rajulun Jamilun Kal Jabalil Adim wa Tawdil Jasim, which means a handsome man like a great mountain who inspired hope. Even the poets stop. They start writing and they say, we don't know what to write about this man. He wasn't only brave, he was intelligent. He was a faqih, an amazing person. Amazing. But totally loyal to Abu Abdullah. Totally. You know, when his flag was brought into the court of Yazid, so when the prisoners were brought in, Yazid looks at this flag. He stands, he sits. He's a wretched man. He's the one who's caused this. He stands, he sits. And then he goes up to the flag and he says, whose is that flag? And they say, that is Abbas. And he says, look at it. It is damaged at every single point. There is not a single place where you can see any place that is not damaged except where he held on. His loyalty, and the words he used are, هَكَذَا يَكُونَ الْوَفَاء. This is loyalty. To get the flag out of his hand, you had to chop it off. This is Abbas. So when we come here today, we got to think of a few things. When Sayyid Khoy used to see, Marhum Sayyid Khoy, you know, he was our marshal, he used to say that around the alam of Abbas, there are angels. And they are waiting for us to say, with the wasila of Abbas, I ask you this. Why? 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 Look at him. He didn't stop. He just continued striving every single time. I mentioned a story at another center about a baby giraffe and a mama giraffe. When a baby giraffe is born, it falls 8 feet to the ground. Newborn baby. The mama giraffe kicks the baby. Newborn. Baby gets up, falls down again. Mama kicks him again. 5, 6 times she kicks him until baby realizes that if I am going to survive my mother's kicks, I've got to stand up and run. When baby runs, mom knows now baby is safe. Baby doesn't give up. Abbas didn't give up. Abbas was a fighter, he was a soldier. Yet Imam tells him, no, you will not go. He doesn't go. Can you imagine you and I have a skill and we're thinking we can do this really better than her or him. But we're told, no, I'm sorry, you don't go. When does he go? What is he known as? This brave soldier, highly intelligent, he is known as Sakaya Sakina. Isn't he known as Sakaya Sakina? Somebody who showed compassion. Such a great man, yet you and I know him for the compassion. Every alam does not have his degrees pasted on there. It doesn't say clever Abbas, it doesn't say brave Abbas. It has a water bag. Your and my greatest deeds in the world is how much compassion we showed another human being. That's what it's all about. If we sit here commemorating him, it's about compassion. How much compassion did you show when that little girl came up to him and said, my uncle, I am thirsty. I want some water. Think about it. When you and I watch television and we see those faces in Yemen, when we see those faces in Syria, can you really tell me that you can waste water? Can you? Can you honestly tell me that when you finish your water, you will pour it down the sink? Really? Seriously? You will actually take food and you will put it in the dustbin? Are you serious? How can I say I'm Husseini? How can I follow this Abbas? This is what practicality about Azadari is all about. That is why you and I sit here, not just to come and cry and listen to a majlis and take some tabarruk and go. This is what Ummulbanin was about. She said, I will give 100 sons in the way of Hussein. But she said, I ask one question. How did my son come off the horse if he had no arms? Let's go to Karbala. I will look at this through the eyes of Sakina. I'm paraphrasing. She's standing on Tilla Zainabiyah. She's got all her children around her. My uncle is bringing me water. My uncle is loyalty per se. He never lies. I will get water. I am paraphrasing, that's not what she said. Can you imagine? She's watching. She can see the horse. She can see the flag. And she tells the children, oh my goodness, he has got to the water. You will get water right now. Imagine those children in Yemen. Imagine them. They will say, there are Shias in the world who know the importance of water. Don't worry, they will get us water. But we switch off the television because it's too difficult for us to see. When she sees the alam stop at the Furat, she says, he's filling water. You know what? He was filling water. He lifted some water in his hands, but he looked at it and he said, no, the children are thirsty. My Mawla is thirsty. I cannot drink that water. We're not being asked not to drink. We are asked, don't waste. Don't do israf. She sees that alam come back. And then it stops. And she waits and she said, he's waiting. Maybe he's just dodging some people. I'm going, no, Sakina, no. Sakina is transferring the alam to the other hand. They took off one hand of his Sakina. He stopped somewhere else. She now can no longer see the alam. Maybe it was too heavy for him. Maybe he wants to get to her quickly. This is called hope. No, Sakina, I tell her. Sakina, he doesn't have another arm, Sakina, but he has taken that water bag and he has got it in his teeth. And then it still moves and she says, my uncle is coming. Don't worry, water will be here just now. It's akin to us fasting. We wait for iftar and we say 2 more minutes, 1 more minute, and you will be able to eat after an 18-hour fast. These children didn't have water for 3 days. And then there is an arrow through the water bag, and that's it. Everything's finished. And an arrow in his eyes. And he calls out. He says, Assalamu alayka ya Sayyidi ya Aba Abdillah. Imam runs to the battlefield. He says, Al-an inqasara zahri. My back is broken. This is Abbas. Mufassirin, or rather, those muhaddithin, those who tell us about this, Humayd ibn Muslim, they say things like, Imam was saying, Ya Ali. Was he calling his son or he was calling his father? When he gets to Abbas, he lifts his head and he puts it on his lap. That is the only time he tells his brother, all your life, your mother taught you, Ummulbanin taught you to call me Ya Sayyidi, Ya Aba Abdillah, Ya Mawlaya. Once, call me Ya Akhi. It's the only time he says, my brother. Abbas says, do not take me back. Do not take me back. I cannot show my face to Sakina. With your position with Allah, ask Allah to make me Babul Hawaij. Whoever comes and asks with my wasila, that their dua be accepted. That is why we have such an awesome, absolutely awesome affinity to this great man for his compassion. That's why we have this affinity. So let us raise our hands in dua and ask Allah, Ya Allah, grant us the compassion of Abbas. Grant us the ability to recognize that there is so much zulm going on in the world. Give us the tawfiq to stand up like Abbas and be able to assist them. فَتَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ.